Hello everyone, I welcome you all on the session of design of hydraulic circuit. In hydraulic circuit, how it is going to design, we will see in this lecture. Especially the industrial hydraulic circuit we will going to design in this lecture. Myself, Professor M.R. Pardeshi, Assistant Professor, Mechanical Engineering Department, Kekewag Institute of Engineering, Education and Research. So, as you know, what is meant by power pack? Power pack is nothing but it is the combination of motor and pump first. This is the pump and motor. Then second part will be the pressure control valve. Various valves are there. So first of all the pressure control valve is there. Then the flow control valve that is involving in the power pack unit. Then direction control valve to directing the flow of fluid to use this direction control valve. Then various accessories like uh, couplings, filters, mufflers, that accessories used in this power pack. And the last component is a actuator, that is nothing but that may be linear actuator or rotary actuator, or that may be cylinder, you can say. Then it will form a power pack unit. So power pack unit is nothing but it is required to drive any hydraulic circuit or the industrial hydraulic circuit to perform any task. So first of all, we will see the hydraulic circuit requirement. A good hydraulic system, what should be required? First is to satisfy the specification of the operation with safety. Means whatever the task is there, based on that we need to design that particular system to satisfy these particular specifications. Then second one is to perform the smooth operation while using this particular design or particular machine in the industrial application. Then low energy consumption with low heat generation, then reduce initial cost and running cost, and make the system maintenance free. So the hydraulic circuit are it is nothing but a graphical diagram of a hydraulic system. It also indicate each operation of the component. We will see further in the circuit. So while designing any hydraulic circuit, what should be the collection of data for the designing of any industrial circuit? So first step is to know what is the details of cylinders, means which type of cylinder we need to use and what are the dimension we need to use, and depending on the force applied we have to choose that particular cylinder. Then question arises, single acting cylinder, whether we go for the double acting cylinder or single acting cylinder. Then how many cylinders is required? So quantity we should know that the how many cylinders we require. Then sequence of cylinder movement, means how that cylinder has to be sequenced or synchronized. So that should be we should know. Then one after other or almost together, both the cylinder has to be start or one after another, that sequence we should know. Then function of the cylinder, for example, that cylinder may be used for clamping purpose, may be used for drilling purpose, that we should define before the designing of any hydraulic circuit. Then machine to which these cylinders go, means which type of machine that cylinder has to be used. For example, maybe grinding machine, maybe drilling machine, maybe the other CNC machine or any other machine that can be used. So we need to predict that which type of machine that cylinder has to be used. Then as far as the manufacturer catalog is concerned, we need to design the bore dimension and the rod size of the cylinder. We need to predict it and we need to choose from the manufacturer's catalog. Then again the stroke length of the cylinder. So basically what is the stroke length of the cylinder, because depending on the stroke length we decide the cycle time. Means as the stroke length increases, so the it will retract, so the larger time will take, so ultimately the cycle time will be increased. So we need to set the what is the stroke length. Then manual or solenoid operated movement, so it is depending on the application. which type of operation we require, whether it is manual or automatic operation. Then what type of force acting on the cylinder, again it is very important criteria. How much is the force acting on the cylinder? So that has to be calculated by means of a dimension of that particular cylinder. Pressure we know, or pressure we calculate, and based on that we can calculate easily how much force that can be lifted by that particular cylinder. Then speed of the movement required. So how much speed we predict that, as I talk about the uh, cycle time. So it is related to the speed movement requirement of the particular application. Then lastly, the single speed or double speed or multi speed. So at one stroke length, if we divide it, that may be double speed or that may be multi speed. Then the load requirements, how the load requirement, that may be gravity type, that may be horizontal type, that may be push type or pull type. So how the load requirement is there in the hydraulic system. Then other details are collection of system equipment, that is actuator. For example, distance between the power unit to the actuator. So what is the distance between that power unit and the actuator? So in between that we need to set what is the control element, what is the flow element, what is the direction element, and all other things we need to occupy in between that. Then limitation of operation. For example, medium or environmental or space. So at some application the space is very limited, as you can say the in vehicle, in four wheelers or in the trucks, the space is very limited. So in that limited space we need to occupy all the components. Then mobility of power source and details. For example, whether it is AC or DC, so it depend on the mobility of power source. Then type of cooling required. So as far as the heat generation is concerned, we need to decide the cooling requirement. Then the safety measures needed, we need to decide what are the safety measures. Then what is the we understanding the hydraulic circuit or hydraulic power pack, we need to design that first. Then second is begin with the end, means we need to start with the actuator. So that may be rotary actuator. In the picture we will see here, these are the rotary motors are there and these are the linear actuators are there. So we have to start with the end. So that may be linear actuator or that may be rotary actuator. So this is, if you talk about the hydraulic cylinders and hydraulic motor, so this is one of the example of actuators. So this is we need to start. A good hydraulic circuit design can be made only when the parameter influencing the feed drive are clearly understood. So whether that feed drive, either it is that particularly the end is fixed. So whether we are using the vertical cylinder or we are going for the horizontal cylinder. So type of slide we need to design, whether that uh, load will be pushed or pull it up. So vertical cylinder, horizontal cylinder, that may be inclined cylinder. Then type of machining, that may be rough machining or fine machining. So depending on that we need to fix a speed also. So the hydraulic circuit again require the normal working pressure for various systems. So field of application, depending on that we need to decide the range of that pressure which is going to be used for that particular area. So in mobile application the pressure range is 70 to 300 bar. In ships it is ranges of 40 to 250. Machine tool it is 20 to 70. In forges 140 to 250. In injection molding machine it is 70 to 210, and in the industrial robot it is from 5 to 140 bar. So these are the ranges normally uses in case of designing of hydraulic circuit. So as we talk about, we will start with the end. So hydraulic cylinder, so this is the area, that is A1, it is blank end side of area, that is capital D, and this is the small d, that is the rod area. So the F1 it is going to induced. So the area A1 it is only the piston area, and area A2 that is the area, that is piston area minus rod area. So the shaded portion will get the effective area of this particular system, and in this side A1 this shaded portion will be the effective area. So how to calculate the pressure? So pressure is nothing but force output force upon effective piston area. So which one is the exposed area to the fluid? That fluid has to be pushed that particular piston and the rod either for left side or right side. So the effective piston area will be responsible to generating that much pressure in the system. So output force, that is capital F, and effective piston area, that is capital A. So the force, it is in measures in kg, and capital A, it is in centimeter square. So the selection of actuator. So for example, pressure is 50 kg per centimeter square and force required is 4000 kg, that is 4 ton. So pressure P is equals to force upon area, or A is equals to F upon P. So we can easily calculate the dimension or the area. It is required 4000 upon 50, that is 80 centimeter square is the area required. So area A is equals to pi by 4 into d square. So in this example, capital A is nothing but 80 centimeter square. So while we putting the area, that is 80 centimeter, so we can easily find out the diameter, that is diameter of piston, that is 100 mm. So 500 mm is the bore diameter. So we will get that 100 mm diameter of piston, which need to be selected from the manufacturer's catalog. So what is meant by manufacturer's catalog? Manufacturer's catalog is nothing but that data, it is in the tabulated form like this. So selection of an actuator in the standard bore size of cylinder, that is in mm. So these are the standard bore size of the cylinders, various cylinders are there. It is based on the manufacturer catalog. So which type of company is going to manufacture that particular actuator, based on that manufacturer catalog is depend. So here, so 100 mm is the bore diameter, so we can select this type of actuator for this particular calculation. Then after selecting this actuator, to calculate the flow rate, means whether our pump, whether that particular flow will generate or not to desired pressure or not. So we need to calculate the flow rate. So how to calculate the flow rate? From the continuity equation, Q is equals to area into velocity. Area we know, velocity we can assume that, and from the stroke length we can from the stroke length we can calculate the velocity, that is stroke upon time or displacement upon time. We can calculate the velocity, and easily we can calculate the Q. So Q is nothing but the flow rate in centimeter cube per minute, divide by 1000 to get the flow rate in LPM, and we can select the pump very easily from this again manufacturer catalog. As we have selected the actuator from the catalog, then again we need to select the Q or the flow rate from the pump, whether that pump is deliver that flow rate or not, where the area is the area of cylinder and V is the velocity in centimeter per minute. So again that pump has to be selected from the catalog. If that pump having that in the catalog, then we can say that that pump is required to drive that particular system. So we are taken into consideration that maximum flow rate and that bore diameter into that calculation, and based on that we need to select the pump as well as actuator from the manufacturer's catalog. Then again, to calculate the motor power, from this motor power, if the motor power is given, then we can calculate the pressure. We know the Q. From the efficiency we can assume that overall efficiency, if it is 85%, so by putting these values and motor power, we can come to know that how much is the pressure is required, or if you know the pressure and Q, we can calculate the motor power rating, or we can select the prime mover for this particular application. So pressure is nothing but pressure is kg per centimeter square, Q is equals to flow, and neta overall is the pump overall efficiency. So pressure required to drive the circuit from this above equation, or from this P is equals to F by A or A is equals to F by P, from this we can easily calculate the pressure required to drive the circuit. So we can take into consideration the maximum pressure, maximum flow rate, and that particular bore diameter which we have earlier calculated, that is 100 mm, we can take into consideration. So all the components that are like flow control valve, then direction control valve, reservoir, check valve, pressure relief valve is based on the above pressure range and flow range. So all the component has to be selected from the manufacturer's catalog, and it is very easy. It is in the tabulated form. We just see the ranges. If you got the Q is equals to 18 lpm, so we can easily select the 20 lpm flow control valve from the catalog, and likewise the DCV has to be selected and pressure control valve has to be selected. Now we will see next part is the heat generation in the hydraulic system. So the oil of the pump, it is very uh, it has various properties like density, viscosity, mass density, and various properties we have. So we need to oil in a conditioned space, or we need to provide the system oil to avoid the heat generation in the oil from the application. So oil pumps exhaust a large portion of its shaft input power to perform an effective task. The pump output pressure and pump output flow, while the rest turn into heat without doing any work. So heat generation is very much important. So H1 is nothing but the heat generation. H1 is equals to L into 100 minus neta overall into 860 upon 100. From this calculation, we can calculate the heat generated from the pump in kilocalorie per hour. Li is the pump input power from the kilowatt. Again, earlier we have calculated input power, and neta overall is the pump overall efficiency in percentage. So the heat generation in the hydraulic system, again the other source is orifices. So orifice having some restriction. So when pressurized fluid flow through the throttle part at a certain pressure, a pressure drop in is converted into a heat, that is H2. So especially considerable heat will be produced when the pressurized fluid is released to tank through the relief valve. So H2 has to be calculated from this standard formula, that is 10 into 60 into P into Q. That P and Q, it is earlier calculated divided by 427. From this the H2, it is calculated from the source, that is orifice. So heat generated by the orifice. So P is nothing but differential pressure across orifice in case of relief valve, and set pressure shall be the differential pressure, and Q, all of you, the Q will be the flow rate through the orifice in LPM. So normally, so the heat generation here, the load is the 20 kg per centimeter square. The pressure is there, and the normal heat rise is 1 kilowatt for 860 kilocalorie per hour. So from this we will get the with load sensing heat rise, that the values are to be calculated from the values of putting the values of 20 into 60 into 860 divided by 612, will get the 1686 kilocalorie per hour. So whatever the set pressure is there, so if the set pressure is 100 kg per centimeter square, and the volume flow rate it is 40 lpm, and here the pump is deliver the pressure flow rate is the 100 lpm. By putting the values in the above equation, we'll get the with load sensing heat rise. Then the heat generation taken place, again the another example is there. Here the set pressure is 60 lpm, and pump is deliver the 100 lpm is the pressure flow rate, and the 40 lpm here the flow control valve, the loss is there, and due to that with sensing load we can calculate it source from the reservoir, tubings and components. So dissipate heat, that is nothing but H3. We have seen earlier the heat generation in the reservoir, heat generation in the orifice, now the heat generation in reservoir, tubing and components. So the S3 from the surface of the reservoir. So the S3 is nothing but K into A into T1 minus T2 in kilocalorie per hour. So the K is nothing but the coefficient of heat dissipation in 7 to 9 kilocalorie per hour in degree Celsius in per meter cube, meter square. A is the effective area of the reservoir in meter square. T1 is the oil temperature in degree Celsius. T2 is the room temperature in degree Celsius. In very well ventilated circumstances, we can estimate the value of heat transfer coefficient K around 15 kilocalories per hour in degree Celsius and meter square. So heat dissipation from the hydraulic system. So here is the reservoir is there having the dimension, that is capital L is the 1000, width is 700 and H is 450. So area we can calculate L into B into H. So A is equals to twice L into H plus twice B into H plus twice plus L into B. So here we will get the area, it is 2.23 meter square. So we put this A is the effective area of reservoir in meter square. So H3 can be calculated K into A into T1 minus T2. So all of you know that H is equals to K into delta T. So T1 minus T2 in kilocalorie per hour. So oil temperature at equilibrium condition, the oil temperature accelerate the heat transfer as it rises and reaches an equilibrium state of thermal relationship H1 plus H2, that is nothing but H3. So the equilibrium temperature of oil is T1 is equals to H1 plus H2 upon Ka plus T2. So oil temperature, when the temperature is rising, the thermal relationship is K H1 plus H2 is greater than H3, then the oil temperature T at a time T is given by T is equals to H1 plus H2 upon Ka into 1 minus e raised to minus Ka upon C into T plus small t2, where C is the heat capacity of reservoir in centimeter cube, C is the V into R into S, where the V is the velocity, reservoir capacity, R is the specific gravity of oil, it is generally 0.86 into 10 raised to minus 3 kgf per centimeter cube, S is the specific heat of oil, and T is the time. So this is nothing but the oil temperature can be calculated. So from this video we come to know that how that particular hydraulic circuit or industrial circuit has to be designed. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much.